The Niger Delta Forum, that's PANDEF, has called for the removal of Abia and Imo states from the Nigerian Niger Delta Development Commission. The group also is calling for the removal of Ondo state from the commission's members, as it insists only the South-South geopolitical states should be eligible to be in that commission. However, the criteria for the inclusion of members of the NDDC has constantly been a source of debate, with geography, oil production, and political interests all slated as considerations. Groups like PANDEF insisted some members and beneficiary states of the commission must go. Indeed, recently, the elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, made an appeal to Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu to exit those states from that commission, the NDDC. We have tonight joining us live via video link on Politics HQ, the National Publicity Secretary of the Niger Delta Forum, Dr. Ken Robinson. Good evening to you, Dr. Robinson. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Good evening, listeners, viewers, wherever you are viewing this program from. Thank you so much.
Dr. Robinson, the leader, elder statesman of the Niger Delta and of Niger Delta Forum, Chief Edwin Clark, has been known for agitating for the rights of the people of the Niger Delta. The latest is his call for the removal of 3 states who are member states of the NDDC: Abia State in the southeastern geopolitical zone of Nigeria, Imo State as well from that area, and Ondo State from the southwestern geopolitical zone of Nigeria, who are already members of the NDDC. Can you explain, give us the reasons behind this request and the implications?
Yes, yesterday, our national leader and elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, addressed the press on that issue. Some of us were present at that.
This isn't the first time we're hearing of such talk and such calls by, Niger Delta activists, advocates, and leaders as well. The leader of the Niger Delta Forum, Edwin Clark, is insisting that the 3 states must go. It is a controversial call. We'll try again to see if we can get in touch with Dr. Robinson. Ken Robinson, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry for the interruptions.
Oh, no problem at all. Please go on, sir.
So I was saying that yesterday, the leader of PANDEF revealed the conversations that led to the inclusion of Abia, Imo, and Ondo State in the NDDC. And former then President Obasanjo did it, according to him, for political reasons, so that the NDDC bill will seamlessly get approved or get passed by the National Assembly due to the issues of numbers. But that's some of the problems in Nigeria. It's wrong that people will want to be included in the process before they approve something that is legitimately right for a section of the country that has continued to be the golden egg of Nigeria. The 4 states of Abia, of Akwa Ibom, of Bayelsa, of Delta, and Rivers State produce almost about 90% of the crude oil production in Nigeria. And these 4 states bear the greatest adversities of the oil and gas exploration activities. And so the creation of NDDC, or the mineral producing areas, was to address these problems that have arisen due to the oil exploration activities and cushion the sufferings of the people whose livelihoods have been decimated and the environments degraded. So it's not right. One of the reasons why our leader, Chief E.K. Clark, and as I said, we just got out of a meeting, an extraordinary meeting of the Niger Delta people in Abuja today, and we re-echoed the call for the amendment of the NDDC Establishment Act 2000 to remove these 3 states from the commission. Because a situation whereby people who produce about 1.1% of the oil, crude oil in the country, or 0.7% of the crude oil in the country, would want to begin to agitate that they can be managing directors, executive directors, project, executive directors, administration and finance of the NDDC is unacceptable and very provocative. The truth of the matter is that if those who drafted the act had wanted the position of managing director to be rotated amongst all the 9 states as the chairmanship is being rotated, they would have explicitly stated so. As is stated concerning the chairmanship, where it is said that alphabetically the chairmanship will rotate among the states. And it started with Abia State, it moved to Akwa Ibom State, then to Bayelsa State, to Cross River State. Presently, it is someone from Delta State that has been nominated. So all the 9 states will benefit from the chairmanship of the commission, but it is completely unacceptable. But as someone who produces about 2% should compete with those producing about 20%, about 25%, about 30% that they want to be chairmanship of that commission. A situation where minor shareholders in the company, as it were, would agitate that they want to control the company. As we speak today, majority of employees of the NDDC are from the minority states, from Abia, from Imo, and the rest. And put together, they could outnumber those from the states of Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Delta. So equality is the truth of the matter is that equality is unfairness. We believe in equity, fairness, and justice. And when you say equality, if there's need for equality, then there should be no derivation principle. Monthly revenues, 30% derivation is shared amongst the oil-producing states, and we know how much each state gets. And so if we are asking for equality, then we are saying that derivation principle should be done away with, and that's unacceptable.
Okay, so the reasons behind this call by Chief Clerk and by PANDEF in general is that the states of Abia, Imo, and Ondo, I believe that's part of what you're talking about, contribute less than 2% of Nigeria's oil and gas annual production or resources. Is that true, sir? Is that correct? Am I correct?
No. For instance, Imo produces about 1.1%. Abia produces about 0.76%. I think Ondo State produces about 4% or thereabout. And Edo State. So put together all of them, they produce about 7% or 8% or thereabout.
Okay, this is both oil and natural gas.
Yes.
Crude oil and natural gas. All right.
These facts are from the monthly 20% derivation distribution figures.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Robinson, talking about the number of employees and appointees in the commission, do you have hard data to prove that those from Abia State and Imo State are more in the commission's employ than from other states like River State, Edo State, Delta State, Bayelsa State, Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State?
These are known facts. People work in that commission. They are not hidden facts. And if need be, we can provide the facts. We can provide the figures. The data is there. It cannot be mutilated. The workers that they are physical human beings, and so we know what we're talking about. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria has been very unfair to the Niger Delta people, the South people in particular, and even amongst us, the minorities or the Southerners, we still try to undermine the people of the South, and people have taken advantage, perhaps, of our diversity and complex situations, the complexities in the Niger Delta, to continue to carry out these things. And that's one of the primary focus of PANDEF, to ensure that in spite of our diversity and complexities, we speak with one voice when it comes to issues that affect all of us. All right. And on this issue, the entire South geographical zone is together with Chief Clerk.
Okay. Dr. Robinson, what does Chief Clerk mean by political aberration, as he said in his press briefing, when referring to the inclusion of Abia, Imo, and Ondo states in the NDDC?
Yes, he might have used that word carefully to express the sadness that we felt. And of course, at that time, he mentioned that he asked then President Olusegun Obasanjo, you're adding Abia State, Imo State, and Ondo states to the NDDC. And so if oil is found in Sokoto or in Zamfara, will they also become part of NDDC, of Niger Delta Development Commission? And Obasanjo couldn't answer that question. And we create problems just to pacify or satisfy certain political interests. That's what Obasanjo did. The Niger Delta alone, the 6 states of the South should have been allowed to stay on the NDDC, and we could have forced our way through. At that time, you will remember that it was at the height of militancy and restiveness in the Niger Delta. And of course, people were threatening to undermine the national economy. But leaders of the region continuously, at that time led by Aro Dababre of blessed memory, led the South delegation to the negotiations and conversations with then President Obasanjo.
Please explain the assertions that the states are, the 3 states, aforementioned states, are not geographically part of the the Niger Delta, as Chief Clerk has said. Can you give us an explanation to that assertion? Also, the assertion that their inclusion is a deviation from the NDDC Establishment Act of 2000.
You know that the Niger Delta area is defined and is very clear. You are aware of the Niger Delta Development, Rural Development Authority that was established first before it was proliferated. And today we have every corner in every section of the country, we have basin development authorities. And so the inclusion, as the elder statesman explained, but the inclusion of those three states by Obasanjo was primarily, according to him, to secure the support of the Southwest Southwest members of the National Assembly and the Southeast members of the National Assembly, because Obasanjo felt that perhaps without them, the sponsors of the bill, of course, the bill was sponsored by, it was an executive bill, they won't muster the numbers to be able to pass the bill through. And that was the explanation. And as I said earlier, that's why Chief Clerk asked then President Obasanjo, if Sokoto oil is discovered in Sokoto, will you also include Sokoto as part of the Niger Delta Development Commission? Obasanjo couldn't answer it. And he simply said, Chief Ike, you have come again. But the truth of the matter is that the country, this Nigeria, the Nigerian state continues to undermine, shortchange, and sideline the people of the Niger Delta for rights, for things that are legitimately theirs. There was absolutely no reason. That explanation was not acceptable, but in the interest of peace, as it were, at that time, the leaders of the Niger Delta accepted Obasanjo's submissions, and the NDDC Act was passed and, of course, signed into law by the Senate, by the National Assembly, when Obasanjo refused to give assent. And Abia, Imo, and Ondo were included. Now, 20-something years after, we are saying there is a need for review. The realities are different now, and with the protestations and needless, baseless agitations by these groups to also have equal rights with the major oil-producing states and those that bear the brunt of the adversities of the oil and gas exploration activities, it is now time to say we should come back to the real terms, what it should be.
Okay, but Dr. Ken Robinson, it could be argued that geographically speaking, there is no place like South-South, geographically speaking. You have North, South, East, West, Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, South. Even North Central is not really, I didn't learn that in geography. But politically speaking, that can come to play. And that by the Nigerian constitution, there is no place like Niger Delta or South-South or Southeast or North Central. It's just a politically convenient arrangement.
Yes, these are political solutions to the challenges of the Niger Delta people. Our rivers have been polluted. Livelihoods have been decimated. The quantum of the degradation in, for instance, River State or Bayelsa State or Delta State cannot be compared to a state where perhaps only one local government area is oil producing, and that accounts for about 1% of the total oil production of Nigeria. Now, when we begin to ask for rights, in today's statement, we warned that people should not take the goodwill of the Niger Delta people for granted. We suffer the most, we are relegated the most, and it cannot continue forever.
Okay. Dr. Robinson, I want to just go over the Niger Delta Development Commission Establishment Act 2000 just for a second, so we can go back in time. The introduction to that act, the first paragraph says, an act to provide for the repeal of the Oil Mineral Producing Areas Commission Decree 1998, and among other things, establish a new commission with reorganized management and administrative structure for more effectiveness and for the use of the sums received from the allocation of the federation account, blah, blah, blah. So let's go to the states in that OMPADEC that was transformed into NDDC. I see Abia State was part of OMPADEC. Ondo State was part of OMPADEC. Imo State was part of OMPADEC. So they could argue, or can't they argue, Dr. Robinson, that we're trying to show them the door or remove them through the back door? Let's use that term, sir.
No, we're not trying to say that they're not oil. They're oil producing states, and of course they will continue to receive the benefits of the 13% derivation that every oil producing state gets. Kogi State is getting. Anambra State is getting now. Kogi State will get. Perhaps at some point, Bauchi Gombe will get. Nasarawa State will get. The question is, with Nasarawa State or Gombe State or Kogi State become part of Niger Delta Development Commission because they're oil producing? That's the question we're asking. And that the inclusion of Abia, Imo, and Ondo into the Niger Delta Development Commission is an aberration, and that it should be corrected after 20-something years. And we'll continue to stress this matter, and we will do whatever it will take for us to ensure that this is achieved.
Yeah, but Dr. Keros, OMPADEC is what transformed to NDDC, and the aforementioned states were part of OMPADEC.
OMPADEC was the creation of a military government, and there was no conversation. They will just wake up one morning, and then if he feels good, he goes, direct someone to go to radio, and they announce something. That was how PANDEF was created. And because a wrong was done, should we allow the wrong to continue?
Dr. Robinson, what is your definition in PANDEF of the Niger Delta?
And I will ask you to make some research on what the Niger Delta has been. You know, the Niger Delta area is very clear. And we will not have those. We are not saying that Imo, Abia, and Ondo is not oil producing. We are saying that their contributions are minimal, almost insignificant. And that for that kind of partner to begin to insist that you must be a major stakeholder and control the management of NDDC, we are saying it's unacceptable. We will not accept it. And any attempt to do that, we will resist it.
But Dr. Ken Robinson, geographically speaking, if we look at the trajectory, we look at the flow and the area that is geographically considered the delta in Nigeria, are these states not part of that delta?
No, I've just asked you, referred you to the first authority or commission that was created, the Niger Delta Development Authority. I think that was created in 1959 or in 1961. Was Abia, of course, there was no Abia State at that time. Was the southeastern part of it? Was the southeastern state part of it? There was no Abia State at that time. Was the southeastern region part of it? You see, the Whalings Commission clearly defined what the Niger Delta is, and he made some expressions that we have come to live with. Areas where communication is so difficult, what used to cost you to build a house in Baramatu or in Kolama in Southern Niger local government today of Bayelsa State, or in Baramatu in Delta State, or in Ibeno in Akwa Ibom State, you will build of this same kind of houses, perhaps 10 in Abia and Imo states. Our terrain is different, the geographical terrain is different, the challenges are different, and we are impacted greatly and more by the oil and gas activities. That's the point we're making. And so for people not to realize this fact and not to consider this fact and begin to go political on all matters is unacceptable. Okay.
All right, Dr. Robinson, is there a way to look for an amendment to the Act to accommodate these states who they may argue that they are still part of the Niger Delta in a way that ensures equitable, representation or expenditure of the?
We are aware, and of course, in November 2020, PANDEF was at a public hearing when the bill for the establishment of the South-South Development Commission the public hearing was held, and we made our presentations. We adopted and accepted that idea. And we are aware that there is a bill for the creation of the Northwest Development Commission. Of course, already there is the Northeast Development Commission. And we are aware also that there is a bill for the Southwest Development Commission, and I have a copy of that bill. We have gone through it, and I know that at some point there will also be perhaps a bill for the establishment of the Southeast Development Commission. So let everybody go to its own and take care of it. Allow the Niger Delta people, allow the South people, allow the core oil producing states of Nigeria. As of today, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Whether Gombe State will begin to produce 50% of Nigeria's crude oil, we don't know. But today, what it is that what it is, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Delta, and River State produce about 90% of Nigerians, account for about 90% of Nigeria's crude oil production. And it is wrong for those who produce insignificant figures to begin to agitate and undermine the rights of those who are feeding Nigeria.
All right. Very interesting. So, Dr. Robinson, the crux of this is that these states do not produce as much, less than 10% of the oil and gas resources, income into Nigeria compared to the rest of the other states. What about Cross River State? Since Bakassi was taken away from them, and since they took away the oil wells and gave it to Akwa Ibom State under Godswill Akpabio, the state
and then of course was ceded to Cameroon by the Bakassi, those international politics. They lost the oil to Cameroon, to the Bakassi region, and of course some were ceded to Akwa Ibom State. But they are part of the South state. They suffer some of the environmental issues that the rest of the South states suffer, and so they are part of us.
All right. But
the significant point here to make here is that as we fight for our rights, we should also know that rights are interwoven. That your rights, impedes on my right. If you're fighting for the rights because you produce oil and you want to control it, you should also consider the rights of others. And that's why PANDEF in 2022, in fact, from 2021, insisted on the rights of all parts of Nigeria to produce the presidency of Nigeria. And we supported it, and we are happy today there is power rotation and that there is power shift.
All right, Dr. Ken Robinson, we would certainly follow this story, and of course, we would certainly love to have you back on the program. For now, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, Sir Dr. Ken Robinson, spokesman for the Pan-Niger Delta Forum. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we have more conversations, particularly looking at the Nigerian Senate, which has stood resolute in its defense of its spending of billions of naira to purchase vehicles for its members. Stay with us.